Countdown to Pull Time Show live from Tomah, Wisconsin. Dan Mayer joined by Miles Krieger. And Miles, we're here in the trailer. Not a good sign.
Yeah, so it's just, for folks that are diehard Tomah folks, they understand that naturally we just battle some weather here. It seems like Mother Nature continues to hit us, and it doesn't matter if it's for the full weekend or a little bit. We try our very best to put the show on, and so right now it seems like this is our big threat for the weekend that we're experiencing, and we are getting a fair amount of rain at this point. Track is covered with positivity there. That was something that saved a couple of sessions last year for us, and I guess it's the hope maybe if we talk about it again that maybe we can salvage a couple of sessions again based off of what we're getting right now.
And we want to stress the event is not canceled, so we are still on as of right now.
Still
there has been no they are going to open the scales later here today and kind of looking towards maybe starting a little bit later, but we want to stress that it is not canceled, so we are still on as planned for tonight. But like you say, we're going to have a delay here with Mother Nature deciding that it's Tomah weekend and she needs to make her appearance.
And we've experienced that. I mean, I think for all intensive purposes of all the events that I have been able to go to over the years and get to be a part of, the folks that work the most to salvage an event and put a show on for their fans right here in Tomah. And I've seen some of the conditions to where you think it's just not simply possible. We talked a little bit about that earlier this week, to where there might be mounds of dirt piled everywhere you could imagine to try to clear this track off and get the moisture out of it so we can put a show on, and obviously that's our hope. So just beg of folks to be patient, continue to listen and wait for the words to come from the officials to decide exactly what we're going to do, and more than anything, hopefully we get to put a show on.
And we're full steam ahead here at Full Pull Live as well, getting everything ready to go for tonight. So, just hang with us, and hopefully we'll be able to get some pulling in here tonight. But one thing I can say is, we looked at the lists the other day that were, out by the NTPA, and we have got a ton of equipment here in Tomah. That's one thing that we can bet on for sure.
Yeah, so it's this is a destination event that folks want to participate in, and I think it's even higher this year with it being the 50th. There's a little bit of extra incentive to want to be here and participate again. So certainly we hope that we can get this event in. We've got 5 classes on the schedule for tonight to be able to run. The first of the 2 sessions of the modified tractors, they pull tonight and again tomorrow, and then they'll be done, and we can potentially have them for light mod or for unlimited or whoever's going to move on. And obviously 4-wheel drives, minis, limited pro stocks, they're all on the schedule as well, and it'll be a fun full evening of competition if we are able to do it.
And Super Stock Open.
Super Stock Open.
Super Stock Open. Yeah, they're gonna kick off their Grand National season. We let's talk a little bit about that. We've got some classes here that we started in Hutch a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Saw some classes, 6 classes ran up there, but now the rest of them are going to get their season underway.
Yeah, so we kind of had that all-star sort of experience as well with the $50,000 to win at Farley in between. So we went to Hutch, and Ricky and Julie had an awesome event up there. Kicked off some of the point seasons for those classes, and then obviously we roll in here with those, as you said, and it's going to be a pretty neat deal. Obviously, Tomah has been one that is a great place to have a fair shot in the points race to start, and we'll be excited to see kind of what happens and how things shake out as we get settled on Saturday night here.
Now, you're a big winner in Farley, $50,000 winner. Do you have that big target on your back coming into Tomah? I mean, you cannot have not, right? I mean, it's got to be there. I mean, that's something that we've never seen in this sport before, and you come to the next event being a $50,000, maybe a little swagger as you're walking down through the pits, or it's got to help.
I just saw Dean and Beth Wilicki out there riding through the pit area in their Razor, and I almost asked if that was something that they had added to their trailer after winning. Obviously, I think they already had that, but that's a question I'll ask at some point. Is what are you doing with that money? Have we upgraded something? Are we ready to move to the next class, Dean? And or what are we doing here with that? In Abby Leichner's case, I think they probably bought some parts.
Some parts and pieces, because we knew they heard a Hemi. They heard a Hemi there.
Jared Nelson's very similarly. He's bought some parts as well after last weekend, and so there's been been some folks that have already got to invest their $50,000.
Now, Miles, let's talk a little bit about what's going on here for the 50th.
Sure.
You're going to be, trackside. You're a trackside announcer here for this event, working with Doc and Alan.
Yep.
And what are some of the special things that they have planned here this week?
Yeah, so I get to be the guy that kind of manages the stage in the winner's circle area right here in front of the Kenny Mack Tower. It's a pretty awesome experience each year. We're going to get a chance to pass out the top 3 awards. We also get to pass out some top crew awards, which are the traditional things that we have done here. New last year was the Dave Schreier Cup, and obviously that's something that I think will be pretty exciting for the modified tractors again, as they are the class that's selected this year. As for celebrations for the 50th, I think Budweiser has presented some pretty new and neat awards as well. Last year we brought some awesome glass frames, and they're going to do that again this year, but I also think they've upped the ante a little bit more for maybe some of the winners. And then in addition to that, obviously the Clydesdales are here on site and will be part of our opening ceremonies, which is a pretty welcomed, awesome experience. Another really sort of neat experience I'm looking forward to is, as many of the past champions have been invited back. There was a letter that was sent to all the past champions. Many of them have embraced that letter, and they've made their way here. So, it's kind of neat to get to integrate them into the show itself and be able to do some interviewing with them as well. So there's going to be a lot of fun coming our way. I think Chris and his staff have really, really focused on trying to do all of the little things and attention to detail to make sure that at the end of the day, this experience is amazing for 50 years, and what an awesome feat.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I'm looking forward to is those past champions. One way or another here with Full Pull Live, we'll try to bring some of those in that you might not see with Miles interviewing, and that's going to be really cool. I mean, we got a pretty extensive list of folks that are here this weekend, and the Clydesdales making their way back here. It's been almost 40 years since they've been here. The last time was 1988, and they came out and put on a show. And going back to 1988, looking at the records this week, and that was a year where Mother Nature didn't cooperate that year. Yeah. So they ended up actually stacking up 5 classes on the 3 tracks there a couple times, and yeah, it was quite the put everything into overdrive that weekend, try to get everything in and get the hooks for the pullers. But yeah, that was a trying weekend as well here in Tomah, but they were able to pull it off, and good to see the Clydesdales back here again.
It wouldn't surprise me a bit if they didn't do something similarly to that. They're not going to build a 3rd track by any means at all.
Yeah, no.
But it wouldn't surprise me one bit if there wasn't, some kind of mechanism of where we split some classes, tried to integrate those classes back into another session to give everybody their 2 shots here and make sure we get it fully in. So, as Mother Nature continues to kind of bring some rain our way, like I said, new last year was the introduction of putting that track cover on here, and it has salvaged in the past. Hopefully it does again. And the other side of that is I think folks are used to kind of having a sloppy pit area and having a sloppy trip up to the scales and that kind of deal. So we can navigate these waters. We've done it many times before. This is my 10th year on the microphone here, and I was trying to think to myself, how many times have I been up here where we got a complete session in or didn't start late or anything like that. I think maybe 3 times.
Okay.
Maybe 4 in those 10 years have we had just complete success with the weather.
Now, I've had some folks ask about, they're running the 2 sessions. Do they give anything special away for the winners, or the weekend winners?
They sure do, yep. And usually it's in the form of a plaque. They have their own sponsor for each of those plaques that present those. I don't know if Budweiser may have increased that a little bit this year. That's something I'll have to dig a little bit more into, but they do have a weekend winner. It's something we get to present usually at the 2nd session, obviously, of each of those classes. It is something that folks have been very aware of over the years and have strived to try to win. So, again, another cool experience I get to have on the stage each year.
And we're just a couple hours away here from showtime, and like say an update on the weather. It's currently raining at this point, so just to let the fans know, but we're not canceled. Everything is still on as planned, and we will give updates throughout the evening here. Just stay tuned to social media channels and Full Pull Live here. We'll try to keep updates going for you, as they're full steam ahead. They want to get this thing in, and just a matter of obviously, I'm going to have to say that. I'm going to go on a limb and say we're not going to start at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, so I'd agree with that.
But they are going to try to get everything in here, so we're going to go with that. So once again, they're not canceled. They are underway, and we'll bring in our sponsor here for the weekend. We've got the U.S. Army with us here. And we are going to bring in Staff Sergeant Andrew Kaufman, as he is a recruiter. And he's going to sit with us and join us here on Full Pull Live. Well, Andrew, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And where are you out of? And tell us a little about how the recruiting's going here.
Okay, so I'm Andrew Kaufman, Staff Sergeant in the United States Army. I'm also a recruiter. I'm from San Diego, California. However, the Army has me working out of Onalaska, Wisconsin, part of the Fort McCoy Company for United States Army recruiting here.
Okay, so you come from San Diego to Wisconsin. How was that for a little bit of a shock?
I actually loved it.
Do you?
I love
Okay.
being in the cold weather.
Oh.
It's kind of weird how easily it is to take the cold weather for me. Yes.
Okay, well, that's usually you don't hear that. You're like, well, San Diego, I want to go back to the warm weather, but you like it up here. So how's the recruiting going, and how are we doing with that?
So recruiting is going very well for us this year. We are at our numbers right now, so we actually made it early. However, we still need qualified applicants to come out and check out some of the programs and benefits that we offer.
So now you guys are set up here at the Tomah Tractor Pull this weekend, and where are you located on the grounds, and what do you guys bring in? Usually you got different things going on, pull-up competitions and what have you. What do you got going this weekend?
Yes, absolutely. So we're on the other side. We're located on the other side of the track in the big food court. We brought 2 big tents. We have a number of recruiters out there, as well as merchandise that we're giving out and providing information to everybody. And we have deadlift bars. We have everything out there that someone would like.
Well, Miles, we might have to stop on over there and check out the deadlift bars or something throughout the weekend. But also, what can the fans, is there a website you can go to? I mean, for the recruiting part of things?
Yes, so for them, the easiest way for someone to find us is to go visit goarmy.com. It is a great website, and it has a lot of information on all the programs, benefits that we do offer, and also the jobs that we offer. It does have a tab where it helps you find a recruiter, so if you don't know where a recruiter is, wherever you may live, it just takes some basic information, your name, phone number, email, so just a means to contact you and to reach out to you, and your recruiter will reach out to you.
So now, in this general area here, how far away are you guys, located from the grounds here in Tomah?
So for my recruiting station, we are around 40 minutes away.
Okay. So, yeah, not too bad to get to you guys.
And the great thing is, if we do make contact with anybody that has an interest in joining, we have the ability to actually come out to you if that makes it a lot easier for you.
There you go. Can't beat that. Come right out to you and talk with you. Well, thank you again for coming out this weekend. We really appreciate it. And you guys, you'll be set up all 3 days, right? You'll be set up out there?
Yes, sir, we will. We'll be out there all day.
Awesome. Well, Staff Sergeant Andrew Kaufman, thanks for spending a little bit of time, and thanks for sponsoring the NTPA this year, one of the sponsors, and coming to see you and visit us here this afternoon, and hopefully Mother Nature gives us a break.
Hopefully, and we are glad to do that.
Awesome.
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much. So Staff Sergeant Andrew Kaufman joining us here this afternoon, and we thank him for his service, and, of course, recruiter with the U.S. Army and another great sponsor with the NTPA circuit, coming back, Miles, another year. And, always good to see those folks wherever we go throughout the country. Yeah,
it's neat to also hear kind of their story, their backstory, and a little bit about them. You think about Farley just a couple weeks ago, pretty unique stories for each of the gentlemen you got to meet there and talk with. And so, kind of get to put together an idea of just how awesome it is for our folks that are serving and kind of how things go in terms of the day-to-day operations, but also their backstory, where they're from, and what they're, a lot of guys that are participating in these events are motorheads at heart. They like pulling, and they like to come and enjoy the experience. So it's awesome.
So going back to the 50th anniversary, we've got one of the official NTPA Dairyland Super National Tomah. They call it Tomah Talk. 50 years of memories here. It's a $2 donation here but lots of great information in here, and we want to tell the fans if you, I'm sure you can probably get them online for those that are not able to make it out here this weekend, but all kinds of great things in here. The history of this great pull, started back in 1976, and, just some, they got some swag on the back as well. You can, buy T-shirts, but what a great program to come up here for the 50th anniversary. And it's a little bit smaller than we've seen on some of, the farm show. We had that real big program there, and then also Bowling Green. Yeah, we had that big program. So, yeah, get your, if you can't be on hand here, I'm sure you can get them online, but a great souvenir to bring home here from the Tomah Tractor Pull. 50 years of pulling, and they've got on the front page here, they got actually where they used to pull right up against the grandstand, and they actually had the football field right there they were pulling up against. So some great things in there, some great history stuff about how this pull got going. And, we talked to Chris Schreier the other day on our show, the This Week in Pulling show, and he had mentioned how his dad was, when he went into this whole thing, he was going full bore, and there was no stopping. I mean, he was going for it, and then eventually, they got Budweiser involved, and it just grew and grew from there, and just a great story.
Yeah, no partial at all whatsoever with Dave Schreier and his vision, and obviously, I think he wanted to see it go for 50 years, and I think the folks that are here now want to see it go for 50 more. There's a lot of history and a lot of stories and a lot of awesome, just general history right here. So. It's an honor to get to be here and get to be a part of the show and get to be, somebody who has been able to watch some of the fantastic competition, but also hear the stories and shake the hands of some of the former champions and people involved with helping make this thing take off and what it is. So
yeah, that's going to be great seeing some of those all-time champs. That'll be really neat to see them come back here, and and you look through the winners over the years, and just all the greats of the sport have pulled up here, and it's one of those, everybody talks about some of the other events, but Tomah's been right there at the top of the NTPA circuit for 50 years. I mean, it's just one of those marquee events, and just everybody who's anybody has pulled here, and they've won here as well. So we'll see who we add to it here this weekend. Hopefully we get tonight's show in. What are some of your favorites you're looking at for this evening show here, Miles, as far as our 5 classes we'll see here tonight? Now, we got modified four-wheel drives. We talked Super Stock Open. We've got the big, huge field of mini rods here once again. We'll have the Limited Pro stock tractors, and I'm trying to think who else we got on here tonight.
Yep, Super Open. Mod, four-wheel drive. Modifieds on there as well. And then, dozen modifieds here again. Yep. Yeah, I think, if I look at the mini class, this has been traditionally an event where we get to see some of the toughness from some of the regional level competitors. A guy like Nathan Hoffman, who has come up here, rolled the dice, and watched him make a diagonal pass one particular year and then come back and back that up again the next year. He's a guy who I think we, kind of have to circle and look closely at. And obviously in the modified side, I'm anxious to see what Brent and Johnny Payne can put together when they put the third one on with their awesome tractor. It ran so awesome well and last year the light mod here. So, I'll circle that one as one I want to watch as well. And a second year in a row here for Mr. Voris and see where he goes. So
I was going to say, whenever Bill Voris is on the grounds, you never know, So yeah, you just gotta. He's got that tractor, he's got that third engine on there, and he's got a bunch of wins here. Obviously unlimited class, but pro stock class.
Yep.
He's done it, so he's one to watch. You go back to the mini class. The Guza family, they've had a lot of success here. The Pysigs. I mean, like you said, those regional tractors. They're right there. I mean, it'll be against the traveling pros. It'll be very interesting to see how everything's going to shake out here this weekend. And, of course, we got a big field of four-wheel drive trucks when you bring in a lot of those regional trucks as well, to run with the traveling runners as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think this year, just in general, just so everybody understands, I think the Grand National four-wheel drive points race will have 20 trucks, if not more, that run it for the full tilt this year. I mean, you're going to pick up 3 from the state of Kentucky with Graham and Galen's team and Justin Grace and the Hitchcock truck now. Those 3 are all going to be added into that group. And so, I think over 20 is probably a realistic idea to think that they're going to hit all the events. So the depth of the class is even bigger. anxious to see kind of what Rob Foster does right off the bat. I think he stumbled onto a pretty awesome combination, and he proved that in Farley.
Yes.
So, go ahead and circle him as my guy who I kind of am watching to see what happens. And then from there, you sprinkle in some of these regular guys who and gals who are on the circuit that win all the time, and there's no reason why you don't get to watch them win as well. So that'll be an interesting class.
Yeah, Lisa Peterson, there's one that, her new truck, her new chassis under that truck, we saw it run very, really good at Farley. So I would, imagine both of those trucks back on top where they,
Sure.
They were sharing the truck last year, and that, kind of didn't work out for them. They like that 2-truck operation there. So Limited Pro tractors here this weekend, they'll be running under the regional banner.
Yep.
So they're not, obviously they're not a Grand National class, but they run under the regional banner. And there is a who's who of, competitors, looking throughout the pits here, and who is on hand here this weekend. And, just alone the tractors up in this northern Region 3 area alone are tough. But you throw in some of the Midwest runners along with them, and it's going to be a great class.
Yeah, our proximity to Lemke Motorsports helps a lot, too, because Robbie's been instrumental in helping a lot of those guys with their horsepower. And so they certainly come here because this is a big event for him. There's like you said, the very best that you can think of are out there in the pit area, and it'll be a very intense class. And obviously our $50,000 winner is out there as well, so we'll anxious, and he's a winner here. He's been very tough here as well, so no reason why we shouldn't be circling him potentially as well. So as we start to build through each of these classes, it's a lot of success, but once you find a winning combination here, it seems like you might just continue to be able to go down that path and win again, and we see a lot of repetitive winners.
And Super Stock Open class, or one of our last classes we'll talk about here, Team Chiswick. Terry Blackburn's had a lot of success here, in his own tractor before he went with Team Chiswick there. But, bringing young Cody along, Cody had his first ever win, light class, I do believe, here. Mm-hmm. And, it's just another class that, we see we see the Babels from California. How long has it been since we've seen, I think the last time we saw them out on the Grand National circuit was Bowling Green they were out for that event, and good to see them out here this weekend.
Yes, sir. So, I guess across the board, you see if the diesels join in there. We also potentially have, the depth of former winners in there, and I haven't made my way around to find out, is John here?
John Raymond's here, yes.
Okay,
yes.
so
I did see John earlier real quick.
As well, so.
Yep, so he'll be debuting his smokeless tractor, for so many years, and actually a former winner here in the diesel class back about 10 years ago. And so good to see John back on the circuit, and hopefully has some success here with his alcohol tractor, because he's been kind of back against the wall here fighting for the last few years, and let's see how things go. But yeah, it's going to be a great weekend, and like you said, tonight, hopefully, we bring you some pulling action here on Full Pull Live. If you're not in the Tomah area, we'll bring all the action to you as we, kind of wind things down here and, get tonight's show underway here with hopefully a great crowd makes their way out here. The weather moves through, and we'll be able to get the pulling action underway here tonight. But we'll also have full pull picks. The picks are up for this weekend's events as well. So some of the favorites going in, we kind of had talked about some of the favorites that are going to be looking for this weekend on full pull picks as well. So lots of great things happening here. We got 5 sessions. Hopefully we get all 5 in. And like you say, it's only been, 3 times you figured in the last 10 and been able to get them all in here. But hopefully everything goes well here this weekend, and we're able to get it in here this weekend. So once again, everything is still on as planned, just going to start a little bit later. And we'll see. We'll give you updates on social media as well as here on Full Pull Live as how things are going to roll. So that'll pretty much conclude it here. We don't really have much more. We wish we could tell you more about it, but unfortunately we just don't have that. Mother Nature's got to give us a break.
Yep, we just need a little bit of a window, and we'll get a show in. There's no question.
So that'll conclude it here for Countdown to Pull Time. Dan Mayer joined by Miles Krieger. Miles, good luck tonight on the mic, and we'll see you back here Full Pull Live. And we'll keep you, like you say, updated after what time we're going to get rolling here tonight. So we'll see you in a little bit.